He woke up every morning before the sun, not because he remembered who he was, but because his heart insisted on it. In the quiet hours before the world stirred, CEO Toan, though he no longer knew that name, sat at the edge of a narrow bed in the farmhouse, listening to a feeling he could not explain. It was a dull ache, constant and familiar, like a melody half remembered from another life. The days passed simply. He worked in the fields, repaired fences, and carried sacks of rice with steady hands that moved as if trained by years of discipline. The people around him called him by a temporary name, one chosen out of convenience. He accepted it without resistance. Names, after all, felt unimportant compared to the emptiness he carried. Yet there were moments, small, unexpected, that unsettled him. When he saw a woman brushing her hair by the window, his chest tightened for no reason. When the evening breeze carried the scent of jasmine, his breath caught as if someone had whispered his name. At night, his dreams were filled with a faceless woman standing just beyond his reach, her eyes heavy with words he could not hear. Life at the farmhouse was ordinary, almost comforting. Meals were shared, laughter rose and fell. People spoke about weather, harvests, and the price of vegetables at the market. These conversations grounded him, made him feel useful, and yet, even in the warmth of daily routine, his heart wandered elsewhere, drawn to something missing. Sometimes he found himself standing at the edge of the road, staring down the path that led away from the farm. He did not know where it went, but a quiet longing urged him to follow it. It felt as if someone was waiting on the other side, someone he had promised not to forget. He did not know Ly Tu Diem. He had never heard her name, but her absence lived inside him, shaping his silences and haunting his calm. The more he tried to ignore it, the stronger it became. In forgetting everything, he had not forgotten how to love. And somewhere beyond the fields and quiet mornings, that love was still calling him home.
The market was always loud in the late morning. Voices overlapped, motorbikes squeezed through narrow paths, and the smell of fresh herbs mixed with dust and sunlight. Toan walked behind the others, carrying baskets with ease, yet his eyes wandered, searching for something he could not name. Crowds unsettled him. Faces passed too quickly, each one leaving behind a faint echo of disappointment. At a small flower stall, he stopped without realizing why. White lilies rested in a metal bucket, their petals soft and deliberate. His chest tightened. A sudden image flashed through his mind, his hands holding the same flowers, a woman standing across from him, smiling sadly. The vision vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving his heart racing. "Do you like those?" the vendor asked casually. He nodded, embarrassed by the intensity of his reaction. "They feel familiar," he said, choosing the safest word he could find. Life continued around him, unaware of the quiet storm forming inside. He helped load vegetables, counted change carefully, listened as others discussed daily worries, school fees, broken roofs, rising prices. These ordinary concerns anchored him, reminded that life was built from small, repeatable moments. Still, something within him resisted settling. On the way back, they passed a narrow bridge over a shallow river. Toan slowed his steps. The sound of flowing water sent a sharp pain through his head. For a moment, he gripped the railing, breath unsteady, as fragments of memory surged. Rain, darkness, a voice calling his name in desperation. He did not fall, but the fear lingered long after the water disappeared behind them. That evening, as the sky turned amber, he sat alone near the fence, staring at the horizon. The sunset reminded him of endings he had not chosen. He wondered if someone, somewhere, felt the same pull he did, this unexplainable longing for a person whose face he could not recall. He picked up a pen and tried to write. The page remained blank, until, without intention, he traced two words again and again. He did not know why they mattered. He only knew they eased the ache. Ly Tu Diem. The name felt like a promise, and promises, he sensed, were not meant to be forgotten.
Rain returned without warning, drumming against the roof in a steady, relentless rhythm. Toan stood under the eaves of the farmhouse, watching the fields blur into shades of gray. Rain always did this to him. It stirred something restless, something unfinished. His head ached softly, not with pain, but with pressure, as if memories were knocking from the inside, asking to be let in. Inside the house, the radio played an old love song. The melody was simple, almost outdated, yet it pierced through him with startling clarity. His fingers curled instinctively, his chest tightening as the singer spoke of waiting, of loving someone even when forgotten. He turned the volume down, afraid of what the music might unlock. That afternoon, he helped repair a broken fence. The work was physical, grounding. Each hammer strike echoed through his arms, steadying his thoughts. But when his hand slipped and scraped against rusted wire, the sting of blood triggered a flash. Another wound, another time. A woman's trembling hands wrapping a cloth around his fingers, her voice shaking as she scolded him gently. He froze, breath caught in his throat. "Are you all right?" someone asked. He nodded quickly, hiding his unease. How could he explain that pain felt like remembrance? Later, he wandered into the storage room, drawn by a pull he could not resist. Beneath a pile of old tools, he found a jacket that did not belong to anyone on the farm. The fabric was worn but clean. When he pressed it to his chest, a wave of emotion washed over him. Safety, warmth, regret. He sat down slowly, overcome by a sadness too deep to name. That night, sleep did not come easily. His dreams grew sharper. I saw a woman standing in the rain, her face finally clear. Her eyes were red, her lips trembling, yet she smiled at him with unwavering devotion. "Don't forget me," she whispered. He woke with her name on his lips. Outside, life continued as always. Someone laughed. A dog barked. Dishes clinked in the kitchen. Ordinary sounds, grounding and familiar. Yet inside Toan, a quiet battle was unfolding, between forgetting and remembering, between safety and truth. If his mind had erased her, his heart had not, and slowly, painfully, it was guiding him back to the life he had lost.
Morning arrived quietly, the kind of morning that felt almost merciful. Light filtered through the thin curtains, resting gently on Toan's face as if afraid to wake him too suddenly. For a brief moment, there was peace. No questions, no memories, no ache in his chest. Just breathing, just being alive. But peace never lasted long. He sat up slowly, pressing a hand against his heart. The same unfamiliar heaviness was there, steady and persistent, like a shadow that refused to leave. Outside, someone was sweeping the yard. The sound was ordinary, rhythmic, almost comforting. It reminded him of mornings long ago. Shared breakfasts, hurried goodbyes, a woman's voice calling his name from the doorway. He didn't remember her face clearly anymore, but the feeling she left behind was unmistakable. Longing. As the day unfolded, Toan joined the others in small, simple tasks. He washed vegetables at the well, the cold water numbing his fingers. He helped carry baskets, listened to casual conversations, smiled at jokes he barely heard. Life, in its quiet persistence, surrounded him. And yet, every ordinary moment felt borrowed, as if he were living someone else's days. In the afternoon, he found himself standing at the edge of the field again. The wind moved through the grass in gentle waves, and suddenly his chest tightened. A name surfaced, clear, undeniable. Ly Tu Diem. He whispered it aloud, startled by how natural it sounded, how right. The name didn't come with a complete memory, only fragments, the warmth of shared silence, the pain of separation, the promise he might have broken. His knees weakened, and he sat down, overwhelmed not by remembering, but by the fear of remembering too much. What if the truth hurt more than forgetting? As dusk approached, the sky burned orange and gold. Toan watched the sun sink slowly, thinking of all the endings hidden in sunsets. Somewhere out there, he felt certain, Ly Tu Diem was living her life, working, waiting, pretending to be strong. The thought pierced him with guilt so sharp he could barely breathe. That night, he made a quiet decision. He could no longer run from the pull in his heart. Whether memory returned gently
or tore its way back, he would face it. Because love, he realized, did not live only in the mind. It lived in the smallest habits, the deepest silences, the way a name could still break a man open. And if his heart still yearned for Ly Tu Diem, then forgetting had never truly won.